So our next presenter is a highly anticipated public speaker. Loves to show up unannounced and loves to talk to people about koha. So that would be me. Oh. All right, I'm going. I'm Christopher Brannon again, if you did not catch it the first or the second time that I said so, but I am the IT coordinator for the Coeur d'Alene Public Library in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I also help our support team there for our consortium. We have about 28 libraries in our consortium, and Georgette is actually part of that consortium. And today I'm going to be talking to you about QR codes. Now, I brought up QR codes because I wanted to explore QR codes, because QR codes have been around for quite a while. Some of you may be using them quite a bit, some of you may not. When QR codes first came out, I was rather fascinated with them. And then that kind of died off really fast. But as technology has changed and more and more people have smartphones in their hands, I developed a new appreciation for those QR codes and was putting them at play. So I wanted to share some of my experience with koha and QR codes. This isn't necessarily a lot of information about what is in koha. Koha does have some QR code functionality, albeit it's just getting started, but you can use QR codes in other ways. And hopefully this will inspire you in your use of QR codes in your library. Now, if I could just get my controls to work. Let's do this way. There we go. Okay. So a little QR code 101. This is a QR code. It can come with a graphic, or it can just be a plain QR code, and it can come in different styles. And if you scan this QR code, if you have your phone handy, this will take you to our actual website for this conference. Okay. You can use QR codes to link to all sorts of great things. One thing that we've explored in koha is the use of QR codes in the catalog. And this is a little bit hidden. I don't know if everybody knows about this particular feature, but if you do a search in koha, and this is something that I had suggested to somebody in Buds a while back, and I think it might have been Lucas that did you do some work on this?
I don't think it was.
I thought it was you. I'm going to give you credit, but if it's somebody else, I'm sorry. I like Lucas. But anyways, this was thrown out there as a suggestion, and the whole reason this came about is I thought, I have people that are looking up things on catalog stations at the library and grabbing scratch paper and writing things down. And I thought, what if, they're on this result page and they put this send to device and the QR code comes up and they can scan it with their phone and they've got that record on their phone, and then they can just walk over with that information in their hand. They don't have to write anything down. They're not wasting paper. We're all about not wasting paper. So, I threw that out there. Some folks played around with it, and I found some more stuff about QR codes and, threw that at them. And eventually this came about, and I was really excited. This was a good first step. I think that anything that we can do to help the patron with that divide between the machine and the books is a tremendous help. And just a side note, we have some things in the works in Buds, I believe, to bridge that divide some more. There's discussion about there's work on people being able to check out things from their device. So if we have a book in hand, they can just scan it and check it out right there, which will be really handy. I'm looking forward to that. But that is a rabbit trail. Back to the QR codes.
Any idea if that's in Aspen as well?
Is it? Sounds like it is.
Thank you.
The question was, is it in Aspen? So yes, it looks like it's going to be part of that as well. So I wanted to take this a little bit further. And this isn't a reality right now. This isn't a thing, but I was thinking, okay, why does it have to be just one particular item that a person scans? What if they wanted to, what if they did a search for something? Somebody searched for dogs up here and they get a list of results. What if they wanted that result? What if they wanted to carry that result with them, not just one record? Wouldn't it be nice if you had that option to scan that, continue with what you have on the screen of the computer on your phone and walk off at any point, not just a record. So, maybe down the line, this is something that, if this is an interest to folks in the library, this is something that we could have a discussion about. Is maybe there are other useful places within Koha that we could utilize QR codes and take that experience from that computer, and the patron can continue walking with it on their device. Now, if you're using QR codes for anything, not just stuff in the library, but for whatever links that you're using, there's some things that you should know about QR codes. I had to learn this by trial and error, and I've had to educate some people that I knew that were doing some QR codes. This is a particular site that I use to generate my QR codes. It's called QR-creator.com, and this one has worked fairly well. In fact, you may see the QR codes from time to time that I use on this in our every other Thursday videos that we do, because I have those fly up on the screen so that it's easy to get to some of the resources that we point out. This is a very basic creator. There are different varying levels of creators out there. The one thing that I like about this particular site is that it's just enter the URL code and you get a result. You can customize it a little bit. You can play with stylization. One of the things that I don't like about it is you can't put in your own logo. But the nice thing about a lot of QR codes is you can actually just drop your logo on top of the QR code, so you don't have to necessarily have it embedded in the graphic, which is helpful. But this particular one is nice because I played with some other QR code creators, and what they do is they create this link that goes through their site and gives you a certain amount of uses out of it, and then it becomes useless over time. And I don't know if they're doing that to track it or just to kind of benefit from your use of their product or what, but this is a simple creator and it just creates a pure QR code to the link and nothing else. So this is the site that I prefer to use myself. So I'll drop a URL code in here and it'll show it on the screen. You can download it. I usually just do a screenshot of it to grab it real fast, so I don't have to deal with all these QR codes floating around in my files. So you can do it either way, but this is the site that I would recommend. So as I said, make sure that your QR generator is persistent. You want to make sure that it links straight to the destination, that they don't expire, and that they don't track usage. I mean, unless you want to track usage of a QR code, and there are times that I kind of wonder, are my QR codes being used? And if you have some way of doing that outside of the QR code creator, that's probably a better way than to do it within the QR code creator. Because you probably have to set up an account, you might have to pay for that data. So if you have some way to track that analytic elsewhere and make it a unique thing so that you know that it's coming just from that QR code. But you know, if you can track that information, that might be helpful to know, you know, where your QR codes are being used and where they're not. Do you need your QR code to be watermarked? Some generators provide limited icons. Some generators provide custom looks. Some generators provide the ability to add your own graphics or icons. And some you can just overlay with your icons afterwards, like I do. I highly recommend that you put a custom icon on your QR codes. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It just depends on where I use it. But I do recommend that you use an icon on top of your QR code, because anybody can generate a QR code and they might slap a QR code on top of something else and hijack that scan. So I think it's kind of important to, you know, mark that as, you know, this is an official QR code. I mean, yes, people can also spoof that as well, but it makes, I think it helps people to know that this is something that you generated, not something that somebody randomly created and slapped on something. I know that around our town, we have artwork and we have QR codes on those things. And those QR codes link to information about that artwork, but we don't have them watermarked in any way. So it's kind of hard to tell whether or not that is something that somebody just randomly stuck on, you know, something around town, or if that's actually about the artwork. So you never know. The one thing about QR codes is you never know what you're going to get yourself into until you scan it. So be aware of that. So here's an example of what I've said I use this generator for. This is a screenshot from one of the videos that George and I have done, and this is and this flies up, and this is a lot of information to type in to try and get to this particular page. And so that's why I started using QR codes on our screens, so that if you wanted to take a screenshot of that, you can. I mean, you could probably screenshot the text and dump it into the URL in some fancy way if you're comfortable with that. But I just wanted to make one more way for you to be able to get to that information. We provide the links on our YouTube and on our koha-US page where we post our videos. So I provide all sorts of ways of getting to that stuff. This is just one way we do it. But back to Koha. So I had this project that I had been working on around our library. We started adding this information over here in a news panel. And by the way, you'll notice that my news panel's not in the right place on our OPAC. Usually it's across the top. I didn't like that because it was pushing everything down. So I customized it and made it appear over on the side panel instead. So that's why it's over there. But we have this National Today thing that I post every month. This started with our computers that people coming to use. I have a page, you know, when it's sitting there not being used, I have a page that shows something. I was doing some random images in the past, and I thought, I'm going to do something a little bit more useful. And so this is where it started. I went to National Today and said, okay, what's happening this month? You know, what's being celebrated this month? So I found something that was, I always try to find something that's not going to be controversial, you know, like this one was National Sandwich Month. I mean, you can't get too controversial about sandwiches. Well, okay. Maybe you can. But how many libraries are being taken down because of sandwiches? I mean, so it started here. It started here. I was putting up something there, and I thought, well, okay, what if I did something that I could tie into our collection? You know, make this something more library related. So I started looking up these topics. So I had to find topics that we actually had stuff on in our collection. But I was finding topics that I could point to in our catalog. And so I included a QR code, and you'll notice that I just dropped our icon on top of that QR code. And this would take you to the OPAC. If you scanned it with your phone, it would take you to the OPAC and do a search on sandwiches. So if I don't have anything specific on that subject in that, then I'll point to a list that maybe I curate. But for the most part, I try to find subjects that are searchable within the catalog and use that for a link in there. So I was doing that, and I morphed that into, okay, let's have a display in the library. So that branched that out, and I used the same screen and the same QR code. People can link to the same thing from this page here, but it links back to our catalog. It does a catalog search. It does the result of that search. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm doing a search in the OPAC and getting the results that I want. Whether it's I do a subject search or a keyword search, or I'll do a list. If I can't find anything that hones in on that particular topic, I'll hone that in and put those items in a list, a public list, and then QR code that. But it's always pointing to our catalog. So I'm trying to make this a little bit easier for patrons. They don't have to go and hunt for this stuff. They can just point their phone at it and then go to town. So if stuff isn't here on the display, they know where to go look further. And I took that one step further. I have this on digital displays in our library that show that same information and that same QR code. I also have things in our collection. This is unfortunately I covered this up, but this is a screenshot of a portion of the screen behind here. But we have our digital displays that rotate through different things that are in our collection. And one of the things that we just started adding is museum passes to our collection, which is crazy because I know other libraries are doing that, and I thought, wow, we need to get on board with that. And so we worked with our local museum. We worked out a pass, added that, and the next day there were holds for it, which was crazy. But having it on a rotating display helped, and having a link so that people this goes straight to placing a hold on it. So they're pointing their phone at it, and they'll click on it, and it wants them to log in, and then place a hold on that item. We do this for our Rokus that we check out, our hotspots, our Chromebooks. We have those QR codes that link straight to placing a hold on those items. So you can have QR codes point to a lot of things in the catalog. You can point people to QR codes for registration. You can point QR codes for lists. You can point QR codes to straight to a hold on a particular item. So there are a lot of things that you can do with that. In fact, there's a whole list of things there. List to list, link to list, link to collections, link to specific searches that might be a little bit more complicated, link to specific featured items. You could link direct to placing a hold, link to purchase suggestions. If people aren't finding what they need, you can have a screen that says, "You're not finding what you need. Click here and let us know." Or, so have a QR code for that. As I said, link to registration, register for a library card here. Link to your account. You can promote easy access to your account. You can ask people, you could have a panel reminding people, is your information up to date? Maybe somebody has moved and you might want to remind them, hey, do we have your current information? And you have a QR code there that's handy so they can, oh yeah, that's right. We'll scan that and update that information. Link to other specific places in patron account for reminders for looking how to update their messages or their privacy, things of that nature. You can link to your catalog into your stacks, or you can use those links in your stacks. Maybe you have subjects down the aisles. Have you ever thought about putting a QR code next to that subject so that people can easily scan that and look up other things that are in there, not necessarily just stand in the aisles looking through the books. What about QR codes? And this isn't necessarily Koha, but having QR codes on your doors by your hours for your catalog. So you're closed. Here are the hours we're open. Here's a QR code if you wanted to start getting started in our collection. You can link to anything else you want to promote: websites, how-to videos, events, and use it in place of any complex URL. So if you have a URL that's just huge, those QR codes are helpful. So people aren't having to key in this long line of text. I mean, yes, you can use Bitly or some other device to shorten URL codes, but this is just another handy way. And people have smartphones. A lot of people have smartphones these days. So this is just a good way of taking advantage of those devices and their ability to get to that. Another great way to use a QR code is to pass on your information. So if you want to contact me, you can scan my QR code and add this to your contacts. This QR code is generated by a site called Blink, BLINQ.com, I think. But it's great for creating a contact that people can scan and it goes into your contacts. So anyways, that's what I wanted to share about QR codes. I'm hoping that that's inspiring you folks to utilize that in your library somehow, get people more connected to your catalog and to your resources. I am done a little bit early, but I have time for questions if anybody has any questions. And we do have a couple questions over here.
And I've got some from online too.
Okay, start with the online, and then
the first one is just a comment. Zed says when you were saying that Nick was responsible for something, she said it was Owen.
Owen, no, I was blaming Lucas. Sorry, Lucas, you've been out, and it's Owen. So Owen, thank you, Owen, for taking care of that. And I'm hoping that Owen is watching.
The second comment is from Heather Hernandez. She says, "Go open face, free the sandwich." The third question is from Kendall. I don't know which library Kendall is at. I don't think I'm familiar with them. But it's something I wanted to mention too, is that there is a barcode, a QR code generator built in Koha now. And I think that you and I should probably do a video on it after I teach you how to use it.
That would be handy.
I've got the microphone here, so if anybody else in the room has a question, we're going to
get two over here.
Okay.
Hi. I have a couple questions. First of all, does your catalog have to be specially configured in order to display the QR codes?
The one that's built into Koha, no. If you're using QR codes around the library, no. It's basically a link to your catalog, so it doesn't have anything to do with how your catalog is structured. It's just a link that, like, if somebody was to go into a browser and type out the URL to get to your catalog and do a specific search.
Right. But okay, one of the first things that you showed was the QR code, and as a results search kind of thing. And so the question I had is, like, is that you're putting the information into a particular field in the bibliographic record or in an item record? And if so, what field would that be?
It's on the detailed page.
Right, let me back up to that. So this one right here?
Right,
okay.
And we have a consortium, so I was just wondering, is it at the item level or the bib level? And
this is generated by Koha itself. You don't have to put any information into it.
So it's dynamically generated.
Correct.
So I don't have to do anything.
This QR code links to this page. So it's, whatever's in the, well, I'm not displaying it, but the URL that would be at the top of the browser that's identifying this particular result, that's exactly what this QR code is pointing to. So when you scan it on your phone, it's taking you to the exact same page you're reading here.
So is that a particular something in the administration that I have to turn on in order to show? Because we don't have it. So
Yeah, I'm being reminded it is a system preference. You can turn it on in Koha, but once you turn it on, there's nothing more that you have to do.
Okay.
It's not going to show automatically. You do have to click the link that says send to device, and then it'll show that QR code. It'll generate it.
Okay, thank you.
I think the other question was just right here.
And my question isn't specifically about QR codes, but you mentioned that there were some links that when the user clicks them, they go to a login page and then they log in and then they go to where you're linking to. Found that when that happens for us, the user lands on a home screen. Is there when they get taken to the login page and they log in and then they don't end up where we want them to end up, but instead they end up at the login page or at the home screen? Is there a way around that?
I would assume that if the page that you're linking to doesn't exist, it would land on the home page as by default. So do you have a provider that's like Bywater or somebody that provides service?
Yes, and we're linking, or the link that I was thinking of, we link to it's a link to a list.
Okay. And it can depend on if that list is public or not. If it's private and you're linking to it, then it'll probably dump you on the homepage rather than that list.
I thought it was, but we will check.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another question over here.
Over where?
Right in the middle.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What I know you said that you don't want to track users, but do you have an idea what their engagement has been like on usage?
I don't. I know that the displays that I put out have been very, very popular because I have to keep replenishing the books there all the time. I don't know if it's just from browsing or from the QR codes. That's why I say it might be beneficial to find some way to get some analytics on if that particular QR code is being used. And if you are, then there has to be something unique about that particular link, that URL to be able to track it. So
Thanks, Ben.
hello.
Are you having what is your process if patrons don't have a smartphone for staff? Are they using their own phones to do that QR code, or are you using some other kind of tool such as Koha's like quick searches to allow staff to easily find these links to QR code?
Well, in this particular topic, especially with the project that I have here,
Okay.
I'm actually not using the QR code on the OPAC itself. So people can just click to the same link that the QR code would normally go to. So I am using that there, and I also have it on this news showing up on the staff side as well.
Don't forget there is the ability to create quick searches as well in Koha, so you could do it that way for your sandwiches. And the system preferences, I have it on my own screen. OPAC detailed QR code is the system preference to Laura, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I have one other thing to add, which is
Last thing, and then we have to move on. So
hot dogs are not sandwiches. I have a treatise on this, so contact me if you.
all right. Thank you very much.